The end of the day with Ray. Hello, my friends. Folks, we got some print industry breaking news, some stories out there. People sent me these stories this week. What a week it was. I saw some stuff on social media. I'm reading this and I'm thinking, holy crap. We've had some big shifts in mindsets. Wait till I share that with you. Really exciting stuff. Our friends over at GreatAmerica, they went through another securitization. And I'm reading the copy and pasted press release on one of the industry's blogs, and I'm thinking to myself, okay, there's some confusion here. So I want to share some thoughts on that. Konica Minolta, they had a meeting for the dealers in Chicago. They went up there to Chicago. They're having a meeting. And folks, I looked all over. I didn't see my invitation, or I would have went. But anyway, I'm hoping that the industry's media and analysts, when they were there with Konica Minolta, they asked them about the financial condition of Konica Minolta. Hopefully they addressed some of that stuff while they were there. You know, I mean, remember last time they had a meeting in the industry's meeting, and analysts got really confused about an impairment charge. Well, they were only confused because the leaders at Konica Minolta were confused about the impairment charge. And I brought all that up, and well, maybe that's why I didn't get an invitation to go to the Chicago meeting. Because I live pretty close. I could have went up there. It wouldn't have been a big deal. And our friends over at Canon are merging Canon Americas and USA together. I'm thinking it could be the end of the direct operations. So we're going to share a little bit about these stories, but I want to start out with the social media stuff because this is amazing. Mindsets are shifting. Our friend out in the desert, ladies and gentlemen, let me just read a post. So our friend out in the desert shared a video where Robert Kennedy was talking about the First Amendment. And this is how he introduced that video. And when I read this, I got so excited because mindsets are definitely shifting. The best post of the year. I am in total agreement, unwavering in my commitment to the First Amendment, which is the cornerstone of our republic. We may disagree, but I took the oath and will always defend your right to speak freely. This is amazing stuff. Very, very amazing. I mean, you all remember earlier this year, when me, the end of the day with Ray, showed up at an event in the desert and was met with a security guard and said I wasn't welcome. I mean, and I'm thinking, okay, maybe this year there won't be a security guard because the gentleman out in the desert is now all about the First Amendment. This is fantastic, fantastic news. Some more mind shifts have changed. Visual Edge IT. You know, I heard a rumor that if you work at Visual Edge IT, you were not allowed to engage with the end of the day with Ray's social media activity. Don't you dare like anything. Don't put any comments on there. Just leave it alone. Well, obviously that rule no longer applies because Visual Edge IT engaged with my latest update on Visual Edge IT and their relationship with Ares Capital. And Visual Edge IT engaged in that post through the Visual Edge IT page, their LinkedIn page. It was amazing. There's their logo. And what I found interesting about this, though, is they kind of laughed at a comment on that post. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, Visual Edge IT, if you're going to allow, you know, the community, the Visual Edge IT employees to engage with the end of the day with Ray, you probably don't want to laugh at a post that's talking about how you're not financially performing. I mean, what are you laughing about? Are you laughing about the fact that your BDC lender, Ares Capital, had to wipe out $48 million in losses when they cleaned up a senior subordinate note that sat non-accrual for over a year? Are you laughing that your BDC lender's fair value on the investment has fallen off a cliff? I mean, I don't know what you're laughing about. But the good news is that if you work at Visual Edge IT, you're now allowed to engage with the end of the day with Ray's post. So that's fantastic. So let's jump into these stories. The first thing I want to do is talk about the GreatAmerica securitization. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't want to spend a lot of time on this, but you know, leasing companies going through securitization is no big deal. It's like a permission to show up, basically. It really is. You do a bunch of leases, you bundle all the leases up, and you sell them off. That happens all the damn time. But when I'm reading the press release regarding this, and I'm going to share that in a second, it talks about GreatAmerica being a $3 billion company. And they're not a $3 billion company. And all you got to do is go to the Quarter Business Journal. You know, they're in Cedar Rapids. It's a Cedar Rapids publication, right? It's not something I'm writing. I'm not making this up. But this was an interview with the founder of GreatAmerica back in May of 2023. Through shifting market conditions, Cedar Rapids-based GreatAmerica has remained focused on long-term success, while passing $2.6 billion in assets. And finance companies will say they have X amount of dollars in assets under management, right? Or if you're a bank, you have X amount of dollars in deposits, okay? That's not your revenue, okay? And in Great America's case, back in 2023, their annual revenue was $278 million. So, maybe since 2023 of May, maybe Great America's a $280 million company. They're not a $3 billion company. I think that's important. And we talk about the securitization before. I've shared all my thoughts on that. They did. This came out of the Monitor Daily, which is the big leasing magazine, if you will. And they were talking about how Great America is such a well-run company, and all the bondholders are lining up to buy all these bundled leases because Great America has tenured and senior management. A lot of tenure management with continuity. And of course, I don't know if they're going to be able to say that much longer because we have a lot of folks leaving Great America through retirements and stuff. And we saw, David ended up leaving, right? I mean, a lot of people have left. So I don't think they're going to be able to say that too much longer. But here's the press release, Canada report. Ladies and gentlemen, I just want to share some thoughts on this. Securitization is just a permission to show up in the finance business. It's not a big deal. Okay? I get it. It's just not a big deal. You're cleaning up some of the leases, you're bundling them up together, and you're selling them off. It's just what you guys do, right? But when you get to the About Great America Financial Services down here, ladies and gentlemen, this is just a little bit scary. Because I don't know what they're trying to do in the marketplace. Great America is the largest family-owned national commercial equipment finance company in the United States. A $3 billion plus company. A $3 billion plus company. So if you're reading that and you're kind of naive in the finance world, you're thinking to yourself, Great America does $3 billion a year? Wow, that's a big company. But here's what they say next, which is really kind of crazy. I mean, it's just nutty. With life-to-date finance originations of $16.9 billion. What? If I asked a dealer to describe their business and they said to me, Hey, Ray, we are a $400 million company. And I'm thinking to myself, you're not a $400 million company. You're like a $10 million company. Oh, no. Well, we do $10 million a year, but we've been in business for 40 years. What in the hell? Who cares about your originations from the day you were born? It's like irrelevant. Why are you even putting that in there? The other thing they put in there is, and this is a good thing, they say they donate $1.1 million. They donate $1.1 million for good cause in the community. That's a good thing. But let me share some notes on all this. What's the point of discussing lifetime originations? I think it's crazy and nutty. My example of a dealer counting his revenue every single year he was in business and saying that's what he does. Who cares? It doesn't really matter, okay? I mean, nutty stuff. What's with describing Great America's $3 billion company? I think they should just say, look, we're a $280 million company. We have $3 billion in assets under management. That would be a better way to say it. Okay? Just to clarify the error there. Donates around 0.37% of annual revenues because they're, $280, $300 million company, $1.1 million a year is 0.37%. To put that in perspective so people know how much money that is, because that's a lot of money, $1.1 million. If you make $100,000 and you donate $370, that would be 0.37%. So just to kind of put that in perspective, and we know if you make $100,000 and you give someone $370 in charity or donation, that's a lot of money. I mean, that's going to hurt you, right? So we should compliment Great America on that. Let's get to the next story. Konica Minolta has the meeting. Konica Minolta, when you had the meeting and you're talking about how you're going to help dealers become profitable, did you share with the dealers that if the year 2020, 2021, and 2022, you lost $911 million? Did you talk about that? Did you talk about in 2023 how you squeaked out some profitability at 2% of $177.9 million? Ladies and gentlemen at Konica Minolta, when you talked about dealers growing their business, did you say, well, we're going to decline our revenue in digital workplace by 2% this year, and we're going to grow our revenue in professional print by 3% because we sold so much stuff at Drupa? Did you tell the dealers there in Chicago what you actually sold at Drupa? Did you kind of, go through all that? Did you explain to the dealers that were in Chicago why you're only forecasting a 1.1% operating profit for the company? And ladies and gentlemen, I get it. You do some stuff in the digital workplace, in the professional print. You make a little bit of operating profit, but you don't really make a lot. You really don't. I mean, the first quarter, for 2024. Digital workplace was 3%. Professional print was 2%. Of course, in the corporate etc. category, you wiped out 46.4 million. In the corporate etc. category for the FY you're in right now, you're projecting to wipe out 338.2 million. You're projecting to do 50% less in operating profit than you did in 2023, the first year you actually made any operating profit. So, Konica Minolta, you can have all the meetings you want, but I think you really need to address some of your realities with your dealers and the marketplace in general. Canon! There's a picture of Canon's headquarters. The rumor is that picture was taken on a Monday mid-morning. The reason I say that is because the parking lot's empty. But, folks, a lot of changes. But I want to tell you, as I was reading this press release, and this came out of the Long Island Business News, what really struck me about the press release is that Canon is really, really a disciplined company. You know, all jokes aside, they are really a disciplined company. And they know they have to make adjustments, just like everybody in our industry knows they have to make adjustments. But there's a couple things I want to point out here. Let me just read this. Canon Inc. expects to realize about $2 billion in profit this year, which is a 15% bump from 2023, with sales of $27.9 billion in 2024, according to the Tokyo-based conglomerate. However, sales for Canon Americas have dropped steadily in the last 16 years, down 37% from their peak in 2007. While Canon enjoyed a successful first half on a global basis, Canon Americas continues to travel down a path that is not sustainable. It's not sustainable. Despite our best efforts, we could not achieve as much revenue and profit as the first half last year. Our profitability is hurt by the fact that our operating expenses are too high. Our operating profit ratio is smaller than many of our competitors, leaving us at disadvantage. Canon is one of the, you know, they're like in the top 5-6 in operating profit, okay? And when you look at the print piece of the business, their operating profit's pretty strong. But at the end of the day, even though they're one of the best in the industry, they're not good enough in their own minds. They know where the industry's heading, where a lot of their revenue's coming from, the print side. They know they have to adjust stuff. They know that operating costs have to be lowered. And I'm thinking the best way to cut operating costs when you merge Canon USA and Canon Americas together is to go ahead and get rid of all the direct operations, push that back in the hands of the dealers, and you'll cut all kinds of operating costs. But boy, when Canon's comparing their operating profit isn't as good as some of their peers, you know for sure they're not talking about Konica Minolta and Ricoh. But Canon, congratulations on making some of the tough decisions that a lot of our other industries actors are going to have. And folks, I'll tell you right now, I believe our industry is going through some tough times. But I also believe our industry has to wake up more to reality. I'll continue to do what I do because everybody that watches me knows this. Status quo is the killer of all that'll be invented. Don't get stuck in status quo, and I'll see you all tomorrow.